Hey, college coaches. This is Coach Anthony Williams, founder and CEO of Connected Athletics. We are a startup business company focused in Austin, Texas. We are focused on helping student athletes successfully transition from high school to college and then into a career once their career is over in football. We are focused on helping student athletes build their brand and focus on them connecting with other athletes they meet through the recruiting process. But more importantly, during this COVID-19 recruiting cycle that we're in, we want to give these athletes a voice to tell coaches who they are away from the game and about the recruiting and who they are personally. We've got a young man with us today that I've known since his middle school days, coming to FBU camps. One of the hardest working kids I've ever met. Great attitude, positive environment, great support group. Jackson Newville, if you don't know the name, is a class of 22 offensive linemen from Allen High School, one of the storied programs here in the state of Texas. He is 6'2", just under 300 pounds, has a 4.1 GPA, which is outstanding. He was an FBU Adidas Freshman All-American, and he was honorable mention All-District last year. Jackson, how you doing this evening?
Good. How are you, Coach?
And I'm excited to have these coaches learn more about you because you are one of my favorite kids. You're just a grinder. You always have a smile on your face. You have a positive attitude. So I want the coaches to see that also as you start to go through the recruiting process now that the dead period is over. Let's jump right in. Obviously, the first thing coaches want to know about you is your academics. You've got the strong 4.1 GPA. Tell us about the importance that you put on your academics.
Oh, of course. I like to go to tutoring. Not everything comes quick to me naturally, but I always got to work on it. And I'm a big guy. I like to go to tutorials. I like to also build a relationship with my teacher. So hopefully I can learn a lot better that way. I think also studying my notes, of course, and just prepping for the quiz, just going over the homework, maybe reworking questions. I think that always preps me for tests and quizzes.
You know, Jackie, you mentioned something kind of interesting. A lot of people see a student athlete like yourself that's got a 4.1 GPA and they think, oh, he's just a smart guy. But you talked about you struggle in some classes, and when you do struggle, you get help. Talk about that mentality of having the same mentality as you have in football in your academics.
Oh, yes, sir. If I notice like I have an A that's maybe lower, like a 92, 91, 90, I like to always go to tutorials to make sure I always can keep that A, make sure my next test will always keep me at a solid standing in that class.
Excellent. Hey, tell us, what are some of your favorite subjects that drive that GPA?
Usually it's any really core math and science.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter. Biology, chemistry. I'm taking physics and pre-cal right now, but algebra, geometry I liked a lot.
Okay. Are there any specific teachers at Allen that you'd like to shout out that have made learning fun and made a difference in your life?
Miss Kelly, my 8th grade algebra teacher, she was so cool. Her husband happens to be on the varsity staff, so whenever I was younger, she would always talk about Jaden Jernigan because her dad was her husband was one of the D-line coaches, and that was one of the kids I grew up like almost fanboying over. Like I always saw him at training too with Coach Tucker, and I was just like, I want to be like him. I want to be one of the team captains like him at Allen. He's just always been a good role model for me.
Any other teachers you want to shout out?
Yes. Miss Cole, my algebra 2 teacher from last year, she was almost the same way. She didn't have a connection with the football team, but she was always super positive and always came in with a smile on her face and was always willing to help me. She was a really good teacher.
Okay. Hey, as you get ready to go into your junior year, have you and your family sat down and talk about what you might major in when you get to college?
No, we haven't actually talked about it, but I'm really interested in doing something to do with math or science.
Okay, good stuff. Hey, tell us a little bit. Coaches want to know about your learning style to make sure they can best coach you both in the classroom and on the field. Tell these coaches, are you more of a verbal, visual, or hands-on learning style?
Hands-on, definitely. I like to verbal first, and then whenever I get to doing it myself, lots hands-on, making sure I got it under control. after I draw, I like to draw my plays, and then I'll walk through my steps or make sure my blocking assignments are right. That's basically how I like to do it.
Okay, good stuff. Hey, as you're going to college here, I mean, have you thought about, coaches want to know if you do, you mentioned it earlier, if you do struggle in a class, obviously there's a vast amount of academic services on the college campuses. Are you one that's going to look for help, or are you one that's just going to try and put your head down and work it out yourself?
I'm definitely going to ask for help. I'm probably going to ask my peers to see if they understand what's going on, and then I'll go to the teacher. But most times, me and my peers can discuss it and work it through and figure out a way to solve the problem.
Good stuff. Hey, you've heard me talk many times at camps, football is going to come to an end one day. You've got the great GPA. What is your life going to look like when the game is over, whenever that is, whether it's after a 10-year career in the NFL or after college? What do you want your life to look like personally and professionally?
I'd like to just have a career that I love. I don't want to be stuck doing something I don't enjoy for 30, 40 years. Hopefully I have a family, maybe a kid or two, but I just love to do something that I'm passionate about.
Okay. Tell me who in your family or outside of your family also helps keep you on track academically and keep you focused?
My grandfather, Ray, he always has an incentive to making good grades. If I'm on the A honor roll, he'll always give me a little present after every grading period. So that's always something I look forward to.
Okay, good stuff. Hey, let's switch over to learn about you personally. Let's tell us about your great family, your mom and dad, what they do. Tell these coaches, you're the only child, you're the oldest, you're the youngest. Give us a little bit about your family background.
Okay, so I live with my mom and dad. I'm an only child. My mom works in the claims department of an insurance company, and then my dad makes mats for the oil field so the oil doesn't seep into the ground.
Good stuff. What's it like being an only child? Most kids come from different, older brothers, older sisters. What is it like to have all the attention specifically on you?
I mean, it's all I know, but I basically got a brother, not biologically, but my buddy Nato and Moselo, he's like a brother to me. We do everything together.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, blood isn't always the only thing that makes you family. Sometimes it's people that aren't even blood related, so I completely understand that.
Yes, sir.
Hey, tell us a little bit about what you like to do when you're not working out and you're not playing football. Do you like to hunt, fish, get out in the water? What are some of your hobbies?
I like to swim in my pool, and I also love to listen to music. I think I always got some song playing from my speaker.
Okay. Well, so share with us. What are some of your favorite artists? What kind of music genres do you listen to?
I love Travis Scott. I love Don Toliver and Kendrick Lamar. Those are probably my three favorite artists. But as of lately, I've been starting to like Kid Cudi and Kanye West a lot more.
Okay, good stuff. What about video games? Are you a Madden 2K guy, or you don't play with video games?
I don't play video games really at all. If I do, it's probably just like a little mobile game on my phone that I saw on a social media ad.
Jack, you bring up a good point, and there's nothing wrong with playing video games, obviously, but with you having a 4.1 GPA, time management is something very important to you. Tell these players and these college coaches about how you manage your time to maintain a high level of academics, a high level on the field, and being successful.
So at Allen, we have privilege periods. So my sophomore year, I got one. And so it was my first period. So I had it every day. And I'd usually use that time to study. That was my study period. And then when I got home, that's when I do all my homework. So in the morning, I'd study with my peers. And then when I got home, I'd do my actual work.
Yeah, I think for those student athletes, or for those people who aren't athletes, understand, you probably know this. When you ask an athlete if they can go hang out, there's usually one of three answers: no, I have homework; no, I have practice; or no, I have a game. Has that been your life?
Yes, sir. Usually.
Big time. Okay. Hey, tell us a little bit about we're trying to get out of this COVID-19 environment and get you guys back on campus safely. What's your shoe game looking like? Are you a big shoe guy or no?
I am. I like collecting Jordans. I don't ever wear them a lot, but my favorite pairs of shoes to wear are I got the V2 Yeezys. I love those. But
Yep.
my all-time favorite shoe is actually the Nike Cortez. I wear the Cortezes probably every day to school.
Okay. All right. so you're ready for you to get back on school campus here. Hey, tell us, is there a favorite author, favorite book that you've recently read, or do you have a favorite actor or actress?
Right now, I'm reading Believe It. It's an autobiography by Nick Foles. It basically just shows the adversity that he faced going to the league, how he was always doubted, and it eventually gets to how he overcame the odds and was the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, big time. I know Nick Foles, his family, he's from here in Austin. Obviously, my oldest son, Aaron, that played in the league, competed against him in high school. I mean, Nick wins the Super Bowl and people still doubt him. I mean, it's just the funniest thing, but he is a great young man, and I'm sure that book is really good because I've seen and how he's handled his life, and he's a great role model of just, staying focused, not worrying about the outside noise and getting the job done. Big fan of Nick Foles. Hey, tell us, I call this my dream scenario question, Jackson. Let's say you have a great career in college, 3 or 4 years, and you find yourself in New York City at the NFL draft. Who is sitting with you at your table waiting for the commissioner to call your name?
Of course, my mom and dad, Brandon Tucker, and Coach Troy. Coach Troy was my little league coach, and he's the one who got me involved to play football. He put a football helmet on me in the 2nd grade.
Okay, I like it. That's a good search there. Hey, other thing coaches want to know about is obviously as football players, we should be giving back. People are cheering for us on the weekends, and we should be giving back to our communities. Tell these coaches what you do to give back in the Allen community. Are you involved in your church? Are you involved in some nonprofits? What are you doing to give back?
So I'm involved in NHS and recently in PALS now. I'm in PALS now. But my 7th through my sophomore year in high school, my friend's teacher, or my friend's mom was a secretary at an elementary school, and she always got me to do chores for the teachers around the school. So I always helped out with them. I'd cut these things that were laminated. I'd cut them out for their agendas and stuff, and that's how I helped out a lot too. And then every Thursday before our games at Allen, we do this thing called Reading with the Eagles. We read to kindergarten to 2nd grade age students, and they ask us questions. The questions are usually real goofy, but they always have a fun time. I remember whenever I was a kid, James Tupou came to my class. He plays at UTEP now, plays some fullback over there. But I just remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. I love those reading programs we give back to those kids who are just coming up in elementary. Hey, tell us, kind of a personal note here, what's your all-time favorite football movie?
Remember the Titans. Definitely.
Okay.
I think that does a good representation of how it is to play football with a good group of people.
Yeah, I could tell you in interviewing over 150 kids for this podcast over the last few months, it's usually either Remember the Titans or it's Blindside. And right now, Blindside is leading about 70% to 30%. I like Remember the Titans, but I'm glad you're on the same page with that one. A lot of good movies, but that is one of my favorites. Hey, let's switch over to learn about your recruiting wise. Obviously, today's a big day. Now the dead period's over. Tell us what's been your recruiting experience so far, who you heard from, who do you want to hear from, and tell us about your recruiting experience.
So thank God, but I was offered by Illinois State, my first offer in May. And then last week, I was offered by New Mexico, and I'm so thankful they offered me. But right now, I think I have some other schools that are pretty interested too. So very thankful for any opportunity I get to go play some football at the next level.
That's the right attitude to have. I mean, the numbers? You heard me say it many times at camp. Only 8% of all high school players in the United States will go on to play at some level of college at the next level. So it's obviously an honor and to be grateful to be part of that 8%. And only 2% will play FBS or FCS. You are a very blessed man. But besides being blessed, you have worked hard. I've seen your grind since you've been in middle school, and I'm glad your hard work is paying off for you. Hey, tell these college coaches we're still trying to come out of this COVID-19 environment. Tell them what you've been doing during that time to stay in shape for the upcoming season.
So for the first 4 months where there was really nothing to do until June, I was with my coach, Mark Madole, and we were on a real strict program, 5 to 6 days a week. That 6th day would be yoga, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he'd take us to go lift. And then Tuesday and Thursday, he'd take us to the local park. And there were these hills that were like a 45-degree angle. he'd make us bear crawl up, bear crawl down, incline runs, sprints, gassers, and he didn't care how hot it was. He was going to have us work, sometimes twice a day.
I don't know if you were like me back in the day when I played. I would rather run sprints than bear. I don't know about bear crawls. I don't know why. I hated them as a player. I'd rather run gassers than do bear crawls. Are you got the same way, or do you have a preference?
Yeah, I rather run the sprints. The first time he had us doing the bear crawls going up was the easy part.
Yeah.
Going down those hills, it hurt. It was, your quads were burning, and we'd have to do 16 up and down. It was pretty brutal.
Jackson, you're in a very storied program in Allen right now. Tell us, what do you consider your strengths as a player going into your junior year, and what are some of the things you're working on in your technique and your position?
Honestly, I feel like my strengths would literally be my strength. I think I'm one of the more stronger kids in my grade. I feel like my footwork is really good. It took a long time for it to get it that way, but since the 8th grade, I was always working on my kick set. That's always been a big thing I had to work on, and making sure I pound down flat, the usual stuff.
Yeah. And what are some of the things you're working on in your position?
Right now, a big one this summer has been my strike, just making sure it almost shocks them and takes the life out of them.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned your strength earlier. Let's go ahead and share some numbers. I mean, I know that you're one of the stronger kids in the class 22. Give these coaches an idea. What are you benching? What are you squatting? What are you cleaning right now?
Right now, I'm benching 365. I am so I'm shooting for the record at my school, which is 395. That was set by EJ Madoma Ogar. Mm-hmm. And then incline, I got a 315 incline, and the record is 330 at my high school. And I'm really shooting for that. EJ also set that record too. And over quarantine, my squat went from 425 to 505 in a matter of 5 months. And then my hang clean is about 265. I
think those records are going to get broken with you only going in your junior year. So those are great numbers to have. Yeah. Hey, you've got good size now. Obviously, you're an interior lineman right now. You still got 2 more years. Based on your parents and your grandparents' height, what do you think your height and weight will be by the time you graduate from Allen?
By the time I graduate, I feel like I'm going to be around 6'3". And then my weight probably gained maybe 5 or so pounds. Nothing
Good stuff. Big. And, obviously, Coach, want to know with interior lineman, I know you play guard, play a little tackle, but do you any plans of playing center, or can you play center?
Yes. I could go out and snap. I would love to play center. I've been told since I was young that's my natural position. I just never played it on the field since I was younger, but I will play center. I will play anything to play football.
As we get ready to start practice and stuff next week, what position will you be focused on? What will Coach Gamble have you on this year for Allen?
He has me slotted in as the right guard this year.
Right guard. Okay, good stuff. Mentioning Coach Gamble, a good friend of mine, college coaches will always want to understand players' relationship with their high school staff. Tell these coaches a little bit about your relationship with your position coach and Coach Gamble, the head coach at Allen.
So I actually have 2 position coaches, Coach Carter and Coach Gill, and they're both real old school coaches. Coach Gamble too. They're all pretty old school. They're work hard. They don't play favorites. They don't play politics. It's just the best guy, the best front 5 play on the offensive line. They don't care who you are. They don't care who your accolades are. If you weren't working hard that week, you're not going to play.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I always respect Coach Gamble. He's been successful wherever he's been, and keeping up with the pressure that there is at Allen. Jackson, tell these players, a lot of players, I've talked to players from Westlake and from Lake Travis and South Lake Carroll and other storied program. It's fun to win at Allen, but there's pressure there to win each and every week, knowing you're getting the opponent's A game, and every week you show up, there's an X in your chest. Talk about that pressure that comes with playing at a school like Allen High School.
So honestly, I felt my first start was against Cedar Hill at the Tom Landry Classic, and I have never seen a crowd that big in my life for a high school football game. Not even whenever I went to watch Allen games, but I think there was around 21,000 people there, and I was wowed. It was my first ever start at Allen, but after that, it almost felt natural. Like it almost felt like, yeah, we got to win, but I was never worried about losing a game. I always was real confident in our team. We always had, last year especially, we had an amazing team chemistry.
Yeah.
We always knew we were going to beat the other team.
I know you know players at other high schools. Tell these college coaches the difference between Allen and their commitment to the details compared to what you've heard from other teammates who maybe don't have that same intention at their high schools. What's that like at Allen?
Allen is ran like a college. I mean, we got real professional practices. We oftentimes we have 18 to 24 period practices followed by a lift, and we never repeat the same lifts 2 days in a row.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, I was at practice. Coach Gamble had me talk to the team, and I watched you practice. And I've played and coached at the high school and college level, and I'll go on the record again saying this. One of the best practices I've ever seen is at Allen High School, and the way that Coach Gamble, I mean, there's no wasted steps, there's tempo, there's energy, it's focused. Kudos to Coach Gamble and his staff out there. I just think that anybody that's coaching at any level should come watch that practice, because you guys have no wasted time, and you maximize every minute of practice, which is why you guys are so successful. Jackson, tell us, there's a lot of good linemen in the class 22. Tell these coaches how you differentiate yourself with the other interior linemen in this class.
I feel like my ambition, my commitment to the game, and my strength will set me apart miles above any other lineman in the class of 2022. I feel like my strength numbers, my feet, I think, especially my feet, I think my feet set me apart too, Coach.
Yeah. No, you mentioned you playing at Allen, playing against Cedar Hill in front of 21,000 people. I also selected you for the freshman All-American game, the Adidas All-American game out in Naples a couple years ago. Tell us what that experience was like in preparation for playing in front of a crowd of 21,000 at Allen.
That whole week, I was always going hard in practice. I know it was an AllStar game, but I was not going to back down. Unfortunately, I can't remember the dude who I had in front of me prepping for that game, but I remember he got the first Army invite, but he had offers from in the 7th grade from Georgia and Alabama and these big SEC schools, and I was just watching his high school film, prepping for what he was going to do. I did pretty well that game.
For people who aren't aware of that game, I mean, it's the top 60 freshmen in the country that year. And I remember that year specifically. I mean, the talent in that game, I'm seeing these kids now, and all of them are having multiple offers like yourself, and the talent level was so high, it did not look like a typical freshman game by any means. What was your experience like playing against some of the other top 59 players in your class back then?
You were no longer always the best guy on your team. There were 50, 60 other beast on the field with you.
Yeah, big time. Hey, tell us a little bit about the recruiting side here. When do you plan on being an early enrollee with your great grades, or do you want to finish all 4 years at Allen before you transition to college?
I think I'm going to finish all 4 years. That's been a big thing my mom's always wanted me to do, was experience high school to its fullest.
Yeah, I would agree with your mom on that, because you can never go back and get back the second half of your senior year. There's nothing like it. So I definitely agree with her on that. Hey, tell us a little bit about, is there a certain lineman at the college or NFL level that you pattern your game off of?
Ever since I was a little kid, Tyron Smith I've always watched, but as of the past few years, Quentin Nelson, he is insane. He's a mauler.
Yeah. Hey, tell us a little bit, coaches want to know about players, playing football at high level is all about overcoming adversity and dealing with the highs and the lows. Tell these coaches quickly about a time in your life, either personally or dealing with football, where you had to overcome some type of adversity.
November 17th, 2019, 1 week before we played Rockwall, my best friend passed away at a house party shooting. And the first 3 days were probably the roughest. So that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but we still had a game. We still had to play Rockwall and had to prepare. And I don't think I've ever watched so much film. I don't think I've ever drawn my plays so much. I don't think I've ever prepared so much for a football game in my entire life. But I knew I had to come out and do it for my buddy. He was a he grew up watching Allen with us. He played on the Allen Wild Dogs, a select team with us. We were brothers even before he moved to Allen. When he was still at Garland, he was still a big part of my life.
Yeah, no, I remember that story well, and I remember how emotional you guys were that week and talking with Coach Gamble. And yeah, and that's a great story of using something that was bad and turning into a negative and motivating you guys. So I appreciate you sharing that personal memory. Hey, Jackson, tell us, when did you start playing football, and when did you fall in love with playing the game of football?
I started playing football in the 2nd grade, but I always thought I was a baseball player until about the 6th grade. And I was like, because I was always a big kid. Like, that's why I played football. But, like, I started loving it in the 6th grade. I saw, whenever I started watching J.J. Watt, that was my first ever, like, role model in the game. I remember watching him and DeAndre Hopkins for the Texans. I wasn't a receiver, but I respected his game so much and what they did.
Yeah, two of the hardest working guys, and as you've heard in football many times from coaches, don't take plays off. Those two players, DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt, never take plays off, and so those are great role models to take a look at. Hey, as we finish up here, I'll let you get back to your night here. What other sports have you played at Allen outside of football?
My freshman year, I threw some shot, but I wasn't the best at it. But I'm a huge weightlifter. Like, I love lifting weights. I wake up for the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, even with school, and I wake up early and drive down to the gym at around 7 a.m. and I get a lift in. It's just a big passion of mine. Getting strong.
Do you guys have a powerlifting club at Allen or no?
No, I wish.
Okay.
I would love to do it if they had one.
Okay. All right. Good stuff to know here. Hey, simple question here, Jackson, but tell these coaches why you think your game translates to the college level.
I feel like my game translates to the next level because I have the intangibles. I have the want to, I have the motivation, I have the grades, they don't have to force me to do anything. I want to do it. I love football. Like, all these kids, I'll hear about these kids like not wanting to practice. And I'm like, come on, like I enjoy it. It's the highlight of my day, going to football practice.
Yeah. Jackson, tell us, how do you define leadership, and how do you plan on leading this year as a junior?
Leadership. So I want my guys to trust me. I want them to make sure they believe in me. I believe in them. That's how I roll. I like to make sure that there is an understanding of everybody's job and role on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, lastly here, coaches love players that have a strong competitive spirit. Tell these college coaches how competitive you are as a player playing football.
Oh, I don't want to lose. Lose is not a word I'd like to use. That's why I love going to Allen. We always win. I want to get that state ring so bad. It is one of my biggest dreams.
Yeah, big stuff. Hey, finish up here. Last question. I thank you for your time again. We talked about the elevator pitch in business. In these last 15 to 30 seconds, tell these coaches why they should recruit you and what you're going to bring to their program.
I think coaches should recruit me because they're not going to find a guy who works as hard as me. I will always go above and beyond. I will do 110% of the work they give me to do.
Good stuff. Well, Jackson, man, I appreciate you taking time out after a long day of practice. I will be up there to watch you guys again. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Continue to be safe in this COVID-19 environment, and I'll see you on the sideline soon, okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for
All
that.
right, man, have a great night.
You too, sir.